The hustle and bustle of Tehran at night was quiet, but deep inside the city, a building was not sleeping. In a room where ordinary people had no access, maps were spread out on the table, satellite images of military bases were displayed on the walls, and real-time data from the Middle East's airspace was flashing on the huge screen. Red signs were moving here and there. Sitting in the center of that room was a man whose name was now gnawing away at the files of intelligence agencies around the world. Mustafa Khamenei. There was a strange stillness in his eyes, but every military and political official in the room could sense the intensity hidden beneath that stillness. He is not speaking, but if you read the title of a file placed in front of him, you can understand why today's meeting is not an ordinary meeting. The file reads, Reassessment of National Defense Policy. After opening the file, your eyes stop at a line that reads, Reconsideration of nuclear deterrence capability essential in the current situation. Then such a silence descends in the center that you can even hear the ticking of a clock. If this silence is broken, perhaps the future of the entire Middle East will change. The scene is not from a movie. This is the current reality. And to understand this reality, you have to look back a little. Iran has long told the world that its nuclear program is entirely peaceful. Electricity generation, medical research, and scientific advancement.
They have claimed to be using nuclear technology in these three sectors. The Western world, especially Washington and Tel Aviv, has never been able to accept this claim. Israel has repeatedly said that Iran is secretly moving towards a nuclear bomb. Tehran has always dismissed these allegations as political propaganda. However, Iran's position was not just a diplomatic maneuver, there was an ideological basis behind it. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had long ago issued a fatwa which clearly stated that the production and use of nuclear weapons were forbidden in Islam. This fatwa became the backbone of Iran's nuclear policy. But history has repeatedly shown that there are moments when harsh realities call even the most sacred ideals into question. The Middle East is at that moment. In the past year, several important Iranian installations have been attacked. Military bases, research centers, and even facilities related to nuclear activities have been hit. This situation has raised a terrible question deep within Iran's security structure. Is it possible to handle pressure with conventional weapons? Iran's military power is not weak. Their missile arsenal, drone technology, and regional proxy networks are all effective. The problem is that the enemy is not less. Israel has the world's most advanced air defense system, extraordinary intelligence capabilities, and most importantly, direct support from Washington. This is where the event that changed everything happened. 39 members of the Iranian parliament sent a letter to the Supreme National Security Council. They used no twisted language in the letter. They said in plain words that a review of defense policy is necessary. If Israel directly threatens its existence, Iran needs to have something that will make its enemy think, and that something is nuclear capability. This letter was not just an opinion, it was a prediction of a political earthquake, because what had been kept within the walls of secret rooms until now came out on the stage of public politics. And this is where the story becomes truly terrifying. Iran's state television is now openly discussing whether Iran should have nuclear weapons. There was a time when the government would immediately deny the issue if it spoke out. Those days are gone. Analysts say this is no accident. This is a planned preparation. The public is being mentally prepared for a huge decision. Behind-the-scenes meetings have been going on for weeks at the National Security Council headquarters on Saeed Jamaluddin Street in the elite northern area of Tehran. Iranian media reports that the country's uranium enrichment has passed 60% and is approaching 80%. Military experts know that anything above 90% is weapons grade. So the question is, has Iran reached that threshold? Diplomatic sources say it is now just waiting for an announcement. Meanwhile, just when the whole world assumed that Iran was losing this war and was discussing in a teacup about how long it would take to lose, the picture was completely reversed. A month after the war, analysts on Western media talk shows started saying in one sentence, "The ball is now in Iran's court." The extent to which Israel's situation has become unstable from within can be understood from the words of Israeli Army Chief of Staff Yael Zaman himself. He outlined 10 danger signals in a secret meeting of the Security Cabinet. The soldiers are extremely tired after fighting on so many fronts in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, the West Bank. The Army Chief himself admitted that the reserve forces will not be able to take this pressure for much longer. What is more frightening is that Israel's most proud air defense system has cracked. Iranian ballistic missiles directly hit sensitive areas like Dimona and Arad. 115 people, more than 11 people, were injured. 11 people are in critical condition. Residents of Dimona were knocked out of bed by the blast before they heard the sirens. An Israeli spokesman claims that their defense is 92% successful. But in a city like Dimona with a nuclear facility, it is devastating to imagine how devastating that remaining 8% failure can be. And the cost of maintaining this defense is $3 million per Arrow missile. David Sling's 700,000 Iron Dome interceptors cost $500,000 to $700,000. An interceptor for the U.S. Third System costs $15 million. The Pentagon has burned $5.6 billion in just 2 days. Yet the production cost of the missiles that Iran is launching is negligible in comparison. Israeli officials themselves admitted that Iran had 2,500 missiles in its stockpile before the war. Although that number dropped to 1,500 in the attack, Iran has activated production at an incredible pace. Not only Israel, but Iran has also hit the superpower America. 12 U.S. soldiers were injured in the Iranian attack on the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. 2 very important KC-135 refueling aircraft were damaged. But the biggest blow came the day when Iran fired missiles at the joint military base of the UK and the U.S. in the Indian Ocean towards Garcia. This attack 4,000 miles away proved it. Iran has all the weapons that major cities in Europe have come under its control. There has also been a storm inside America. The No Kings movement has started across the country against Trump's joint policy. Millions of people are on the streets in more than 3,200 cities in 50 states. The cost of living is rising. Ordinary Americans are angry at being burdened by a pointless war. The mass protests have become a nightmare for Trump ahead of the November midterm elections. In this turbulent situation, an unexpected name has emerged on the diplomatic table: Pakistan. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian had a phone conversation that lasted for about an hour. Surprisingly, Donald Trump himself shared Shahbaz Sharif's offer of mediation between the United States and Iran on his Truth Social. Immediately after this, the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt are going to hold a high-level meeting in Islamabad at the invitation of Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar. Let's return to the man at the center of this whole situation, Mustafa Khamenei. He came to power at a time when every decision could change history. He has 2 paths: clinging to the old or adopting a new strategy in line with reality. Looking at his recent steps, analysts believe he is choosing the second path. Many are calling this possible change in nuclear policy a masterstroke. Because it is not the language of war, it is the language of resistance. It is a message: we will determine our limits. Even arrogance on the battlefield quickly turns to dust. Those who thought they could finish Iran off in the blink of an eye are today disoriented in the face of their own internal cracks, defense weaknesses, and economic bleeding. And Iran, having turned all calculations upside down, is arranging its pieces on the chessboard with a strangely silent confidence. Let me end with the words of an elderly Iranian citizen walking past an ancient mosque in Tehran. "We want peace, but if we need shelter from bombs to survive, then let that shelter be built."